Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. With reference to Bhitarkanika National Park, which of the following statements are correct? It is a national park in the state of Odisha. It is a Ramsar site. Which of the statements are correct with reference to Bhitarkanika National Park? The answer to this is both. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. Now, when you look into the first statement, it is factual in nature. This national park is in the state of Odisha, and this national park is also home to what is called as the saltwater crocodiles. So kindly remember, if one of the unique features of Bhitarkanika National Park is that happens to be the presence of the saltwater crocodile. The second part of the question speaks about the Ramsar Convention and the Ramsar site. So what is this Ramsar Convention or the Convention on Wetlands? Basically, this happens to be an intergovernmental treaty where all the governments have come together. They have entered into an understanding for conservation and wise use of the wetlands. Now the question is, what is this wetlands? This can be natural. It can also be artificial aquatic ecosystems. So when you look into all the lakes and the rivers, underground aquifers, swamps and marshes, wet grasslands, peatlands, oases, estuaries, deltas, tidal flats, mangroves and other coastal areas, including the coral reefs, they belong to the natural system of the wetlands. It can also include the human-made as well, which includes fish ponds, rice paddies, reservoirs and salt pans. So a convention which speaks about the conservation and wise use of the aquatic ecosystems is what is called as the Ramsar Convention. When it comes to the Ramsar Convention, there are three basic pillars of the Ramsar Convention. What is it? One is the wise use of all their wetlands. Second, designating suitable wetlands for the Ramsar list. And third is to cooperate internationally. What are these pillars? As the very name denotes, it is wise use. So what this convention suggests is, if there is a wetland, every government can come up with a legislation. It can come up with a management protocol. So make use of this particular wetland efficiently, effectively and also sustainably. So it does not define what is wise use, but instead gives it up to that government to define it under its own legislations. So this particular convention does not define what is wise use, but asks the government to come up with its own legislation so that this particular aquatic ecosystem can be used in a sustainable manner. Then we have what is called as the Ramsar list. What is this Ramsar list? Let's say, for example, there is a particular aquatic ecosystem. Every country will have to designate one aquatic ecosystem. It can be the mangroves, it can be a national park, it can be anything else as per the defined criteria, and this list will be part of the Ramsar list. So this particular list will be located in a particular country. It is not only of national importance, but this will have the global international importance as it is important for the entire humanity. So select a particular place and that will be part of the Ramsar list. That is why Bhitarkanika National Park is part of this Ramsar list. Finally, the third pillar is what is called as cooperating internationally. To ensure that a particular wetland is safeguarded, what we require is the international cooperation. Why? Because a designated Ramsar site can also be part of multiple states as well. It can be part of multiple countries as well. So what we require is mutual understanding and cooperation for the wise use of this wetland. There is another important point from the preliminary examination. What is it? It is nothing but Montreal's record. What is this Montreal's record? Basically, as we have discussed, there is something called as the Ramsar list. In this particular Ramsar list, in every country, there might be few designated places which might be undergoing a lot of negative changes. This negative changes can be because of developmental projects, it can be because of pollution, it can be because of human interference. So all those places that are designated as Ramsar site, in that Ramsar site, if there are places which is undergoing a lot of changes, such a place will fall under the Montreal's record. So what happens? A list will be present in that particular country out of this list, if it is undergoing a lot of changes which is going to have negative impact, that will fall under what is called as Montreux record. As part of the assignment, you guys will have to look for those Indian sites which are present on the Montreux record and put it on the comment section. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this practice question. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements with respect to Pyrostria laljii. It is the first record of genus Pyrostria in India. It belongs to the genus of coffee family discovered from the Andaman Islands. Its IUCN status is endangered. Which of the above statements is correct? The answer to this is A, which happens to be 1 and 2 only. What is this Pyrostria laljii? This happens to be the first record of genus Pyrostria in India. What is it? This is nothing but a genus of dioecious flowering plant. So what is it? It is nothing but a flowering plant. What do we mean by dioecious? Basically, if there is a particular plant which has distinct male and female individual organisms, that is what is called as dioecious. So this particular Pyrostria is nothing but a flowering plant which has a distinct male and female individual organisms. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. Now when we look into the article, it says plants belonging to genus Pyrostria are usually found in Madagascar, but the recently discovered species is something new to the science. This Pyrostria laljii has been assigned critically endangered based on the IUCN Red List criteria. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this practice question. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements are correct with respect to Kawasaki disease? It is a rare zoonotic disease that occurs primarily in remote parts of Central and West Africa near tropical rainforest. It is mostly transmitted to people from various wild animals such as rodents and primates. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is none. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. The article here makes a mention of what is called as the multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. What is this syndrome all about? Let's say there is a child or number of children who are infected by COVID-19. Whenever it hits a particular child or number of children, what happens? There is a general tendency that they'll be infected very mildly. But in some exceptional situations, the impact may be huge as well. What happens? There might be some organs and tissues such as the heart, the lungs, the blood vessels, the kidneys, the digestive system, which become severely inflamed. That process is what is called as multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children. This happens when the COVID-19 infection and its manifestation is too bad when it comes to the children. An aspect of it which can also result in another disease is what is called as the Kawasaki disease. What exactly happens under the Kawasaki disease? It usually affects children who are less than 5 years old. What happens? Its symptoms include red eyes, rashes, swollen tongue, reddened lips, which is why it is also called as the strawberry tongue. Basically, under this Kawasaki disease, there is inflamed blood vessel system all over the body. There is high fever which continues for about 5 days, and this particular disease also affects the coronary functions in the heart as well. So what causes this Kawasaki disease is yet to be deciphered, but what we actually know is that this particular disease is an immunological reaction to the infection or to a particular virus. So kindly remember, it infects the children, and the root cause of it is yet unknown, but it is presumed it is because there is an infection, because there is a virus attack on the children, and immunological response is what is called as the Kawasaki disease. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this practice question. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following are rare earth minerals? Niobium, selenium, praseodymium, dysprosium, uranium, thorium. The answer to this is 1, 3 and 4 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. What are these rare earth elements? There are about 17 minerals. It includes 15 from the lanthanide table as shown in the picture, and it also includes 2 other minerals which includes scandium as well as yttrium. So all these minerals, 15 from the lanthanides and these two from the periodic table, is what is called as the rare earth elements. So kindly remember, this can be very important both from the mains examination as well as from the preliminary examination. What is the importance of this rare earth metals? There are number of manufacturing entities which use these rare earth minerals. One, it is used in the electronic devices. Second, it is used in the defense sector. And third, it is used in the manufacturing of optical cables. Where is it used in the electronic sector? Let's say we have to manufacture the LEDs or the fuel cells or the hybrid vehicles. For all these manufacturing of the electronic goods, what we require is the rare earth metals. When it comes to the defense sector, it is used in the manufacture of aircrafts as well as radars, and it is also used in the manufacturing of optical fiber cables, digital networks, mobile phones and other IT gadgets as well, which is why the rare earth metals becomes very important for the electronic, defense and other sectors. Now when we look into the article, it goes on to say in the year 2019, the US imported 80% of its rare earth minerals from China and the EU gets 98% of its supply from China. What if tomorrow China does not export United States of America and the European Union these rare earth metals? What could happen to their industry is what is this article all about. So basically the rare earth minerals include niobium, praseodymium, dysprosium, which are crucial for the manufacture of magnets used in the industries of the future such as wind turbines, electric cars, so on and so forth. It is also used in smartphones, computer screens and telescopic lenses as well. And if this particular export is not done from China, there could be friction, more trade war between United States of America and China is what is this article all about. Now let's look into the next practice question. The New START treaty was in the news. What is this treaty? It is a bilateral strategic nuclear arms reduction treaty between the USA and Russian Federation. It is a multilateral energy security cooperation treaty among the members of East Asia Summit. It is a treaty between Russian Federation and the European Union for the energy security cooperation. It is a multilateral cooperation treaty among the BRICS countries for the promotion of trade. What defines New START treaty? The answer to this is it is a bilateral strategic nuclear arms reduction treaty between USA and Russian Federation. Why have we taken this practice question? Because of the reference in this article. So the New START treaty is all about controlling the nuclear expansion. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion happens to be Climate Action Network. What is this Climate Action Network? As the very name denotes, it is a network. Network of what? The civil society organizations, the NGOs. So there are more than 1,500 civil society organizations from more than 130 countries who have all come together to mitigate the impact of climate change fluctuations. So what does it do? It brings governments together, it brings individuals together, it also brings many other private sectors as well, so that most of these can come together and ultimately fight the menace of climate change. What does it do? It puts the pressure on the government, asks the government to take some of the bold and urgent reforms. So ultimately there could be a control in the emissions of the fossil fuel, address the needs of the vulnerable people who have been impacted by the climate change. Most of the people near the coastal areas, most of the people in the islands have been the major sufferers of this particular climate change. So addressing the vulnerability to this section of the people is the major objective of this Climate Action Network. So basically this particular network has all the organizations come together so that it can influence the government to conduct its developmental activities in a sustainable manner so that the future generations have enough for their own needs as well. Apart from this, another important factor from the preliminary examination is what is called as the Climate Change Performance Index. We have three organizations, the German Watch, the New Climate Institute and the Climate Action Network. That is, all the three organizations have come together. They released this particular index called as the Climate Change Performance Index. This is released annually, that is every year, and this has been released from the year 2005. This can also be important from the preliminary examination point of view. So what do? They compare countries, they see what are the policies that the countries have done in a transparent manner, so that there is competition between the countries, there is exchange of information ultimately to curb the menace of climate change. So this enhances international climate politics and also draws comparison for the climate protection efforts. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.